For real, C-Rock?
In 2011, a young rising star by the name of Channing Tatum, best known at the time as the lead from the dance movie Step Up and the romantic comedy Dear John, had the idea to make a movie about his short time as a male stripper before he became an actor. While he only worked as a stripper for 8 months, he always felt that time in his life was really unique and interesting to explore in a movie. Tatum hired friend and screenwriter Reed Carolyn to write the script. While working on the movie Haywire, Tatum showed the script to director Steven Soderbergh, who signed on to direct immediately. Aside from Tatum, Matthew McConaughey was the first actor to be cast in the role of Dallas, the smooth-talking MC of the strip club where much of the movie takes place. Soderbergh pitched him the movie over the phone, and reportedly he agreed to be in the movie within 10 minutes of that conversation. Marketed towards both women and gay men, the movie ended up becoming a massive hit. It ended up grossing a worldwide total of $167 million off of just a $7 million budget. It also received high praise and made many critics' top movies of the year lists. Matthew McConaughey won an Independent Spirit Award for Best Supporting Actor, and him not getting a Supporting Actor Oscar nomination is still considered to be one of the greatest award snubs of all time. The movie was so successful that a sequel was ordered almost immediately, solidifying Magic Mike as a franchise in the pantheon of TWO-FER movie franchises. But what did we think? Stick around for our all-male review of this movie. So grease up your waxed bodies, grab your sack of corny props, and break out the penis pump because it's time for Colin Harris and I to ride the pony and take a look at the first film in the Magic Mike film franchise, 2012's Steven Soderbergh classic, Magic Mike. This is a show about franchises. Dance movie franchises. You're listening to License to Watch.
Why in the world was this movie made?
One of the Exorcists, I think I had that feeling of like, I can't even bring myself to talk about this. It was so unpleasant. But
no, hate watches are really particular. There is such a thing as a movie that's so bad. Like, did you guys see Horse Girl? I hope you didn't.
Yes, I did. It was weird. It was
Is
unwatchable.
it like a
definitely
centaur
strange
type of movie? Or what?
No, it's a movie that feels like a really, really terrible college student with no talent at a bad university would make, but then somehow it got made.
Or like somebody else telling you their dream for like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, and somebody said that's what the Oscars this year was like.
I didn't watch
and I was
it.
like, right on, yeah. It was just weird. It was like, what's happening here? And honestly, like, they didn't show the clips for a bunch of the movies. Like, you didn't get the little clips where it shows you like what is so good about the movie.
That's what I don't get is like
hands down the best part of the Oscars,
the best part,
usually.
and B, that's the part you could really do without having people in the same room. That's the easiest. That was the biggest miss in the world, and that sort of segues nicely into our movie that we're talking about this week, because that's Steven Soderbergh was directing the Oscars and made two horrible mistakes. One was they didn't show clips for everything. I would have done extended clips for everything at all. I would have made it like 90% a clip show. But then on top of that, he banked everything on Chadwick Boseman winning at the end, and a guy who wasn't even there won. So they just went like, and Anthony Hopkins won. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
I've not seen this movie, The Father.
My friend Don
I heard it's really
amazing.
Oh, okay, I gotta watch it.
I haven't seen it either, but it's on my list. So.
Also, the In Memoriam was like the lightning round of the show.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like flying through dead people. Yeah,
I feel like if you got a show that you can't do the live stuff, that should be like a gimme to just do all the pre-produced clip stuff and In Memoriam stuff should be like top notch and just make it that.
But it seems like from like an entertainment business perspective, the way the Oscars works for like the lay fan or the layperson fan is like they get to see a clip from a movie so they can decide whether or not they're going to pursue watching it.
Right.
Yeah.
And like that's like the whole function of the Oscars for like
it should
probably
be.
Like at least half the
promotion.
audience.
Yeah.
Didn't they do something stupid a little while ago where they were like, we're gonna have like 11 movies per category or something, because maybe they didn't do the clips because it would be like an 100-hour show or something.
No, because they did something different instead. They had the announcer talk about each person who was nominated,
boring.
while the camera just like zoomed in on them
That
very
sounds like
slowly.
hell.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
it
awful.
definitely
That's
it
not
was it was
entertainment.
definitely some circle of hell. I'm not sure which one. Probably one of the higher ones, but definitely in
And
there.
I had a big problem. No one else said this, but I had a big problem with the fact that it was at Union Station and they didn't have any B-roll of trains at all, or any people
That
like
is
walking through the
weird.
concourse or something.
Wait,
Like,
Steven
I gotta see
Soderbergh,
that.
the filmmaker, directed the show, the Oscars?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Why? Is everyone broke in the pandemic? Like, why would you even do that? There's nothing cool about it. Like, it's it's like taking an industrial gig. It's like not a cool gig. Like,
But he's a weird guy like that, so I figured like he would be like he's the kind of guy who would take an industrial gig and be like, hey, what could I do with this that's
look at
interesting?
my crazy spin on it.
But
How to
what's
Properly
amazing is
Wash
that-
Your Eyes in the Laboratory by Steven Soderbergh.
The only reason that he should have done the Oscars is if it ended up just being this like experimental art film where one person is just like staring into the camera for like
Which
2.5
is, I think, what we were
hours.
all hoping for, that it would get weirder in a good way, and really they just sort of dropped the ball on like a lot of gimmies, like a lot of layups, because he
It
can be a
sounds
good
like a regular. Just sounds
boring
like a
ass-
regular
yeah.
award show.
It should
Well,
have
he
started.
shot it 24 frames per second in the 16:9 ratio to make it more film-like,
And he
which is what we want when
he
we watch the
excessively color graded everything.
Oscars.
So
Yeah,
dumb.
everything was yellow, just like this movie.
Yeah, every
Yes.
different person had a different tint to them.
Sweet. Well, it's interesting. Somebody brought it up, just the color palette. I didn't realize until I rewatched it. It's really an interesting yellow
This
palette.
movie is so yellow. That's the one thing I could not like.
That was interesting.
Like I
It's
had to
Florida,
text them.
it's Mexico, it's South
Yeah.
America. You go below a certain
Yeah, he definitely
Tropic
has
or
a
whatever.
thing with. But I mean, when he did this in Traffic, obviously in Traffic, it's like the Mexico scenes were all yellow graded. I think the Washington scenes were all blue graded, and I think the other, I can't remember where else they took place, just in LA or something, were like normal. But they were also like washed out yellow graded for the Mexico. But he does
yeah, it
this
wasn't
in
like
a
a
lot
Barb and Star, like bright, tropical, exciting.
Right. No. Yeah. He does this in a lot of things. I think, it kind of reminded me of when you're outside in the sun all day at the beach, and then you go back inside and everything sort of has that like your eyeballs are like,
haze.
yeah, burned yellow. I think it's obviously intentional, but I think it was supposed to try to like capture this like, muggy Florida
Which
sunny.
I think it did, actually.
Like-
Also, everything takes place at night. They're strippers. It's kind of seedy. It's
Yeah.
a little low-key depressing. So I
Right.
think that was a good choice.
And it made the neon of the club and the night stuff really stand out. There's a big difference between the daytime, anything they do outside of the club, and when they actually go to the club.
Yeah, to me that's the intentional choice, is giving us two separate worlds. Like the world of the club, it always looks like this, and everything outside of it has this other kind of look. And like it's totally intentional, because the crisis of the movie is Magic Mike and Mike, or is he one or the other? Like,
Right.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
yeah.
Channing Tatum had moves, but it's like, I don't know if it's TikTok or whatever, but it's just like, I just feel like I've seen really good dancing. And so like, if you watched any of the other guys, they were just like barely kind of keeping time.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is supposed to be like the best dancers of Florida. So
Right. In Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa.
Well, it was
Yeah.
really just just the one guy, the big guy, Tarzan or
He
whatever.
was
his name
terrible.
is.
He couldn't even do
Kevin
anything.
Nash.
He was bad.
I mean, he's a professional wrestler.
Well,
Give the guy a break.
The
guess
one
so.
scene, I think we're really talking about is the first "It's Raining Men" dance, where it's like really obvious that Channing Tatum is a trained
dancer, and nobody else
and
is.
the other guys are actors hired to play strippers.
And so I feel like even if they weren't trained dancers, there are some people that could, like, even if they were just doing whatever, just like, oh yeah, you're a good dancer,
I think you're right, but I for sure just said like, no, I think this is intentional, and it's supposed to be because part
You
of the story
do?
is that
Wow.
Channing Tatum is that much better. He is like the workhorse. He is getting taken advantage
He's the
of
moneymaker.
by Matthew
Yeah.
McConaughey, basically.
That's interesting. Because
Right.
I think, I mean, I really enjoyed the movie. Let me just say, I think it's a really fun, really well done movie. And yeah, it's a blast. It's kind of an unusual genre. I don't even know how would you guys describe the movie?
Well, I think it's an interesting. It's kind of like an indie drama with
I think
some.
we should do the summary now.
Okay.
If we're trying
Well,
to like.
Matt's still got to do
Well,
his
compass
intro and
this.
everything.
Yeah, we're getting way into it here.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
This is License to Watch, and this is obviously our Magic Mike episode. This is our second franchise of 3 TWO-FER franchises that we're covering. We wrapped up Mortal Kombat, and now we're on to the next complete opposite franchise, which is Magic Mike, starring Channing Tatum. What's the other guy? Matthew McConaughey, and directed by Steven Soderbergh. Joining us for this episode is a friend of the pod, Rose Surnow.
Hello.
Rose, do you want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you've got going on?
Yeah, me and Matt met and became buds at USC Film School. I got my master's in screenwriting. I write comedies and dramedies for TV, and I've also worked in digital. I co-host a podcast. It's a Sex and the City recap podcast called Couldn't Help But Wonder with the stand-up comedian, actress, and television writer Jamie Lee. If you like overshares about love, dating, sex, and therapy, check it out. You barely have to watch Sex and the City to deeply enjoy our pod. And I'm happy to be here chatting about this really fun movie with the 3 fun, smart, interesting chaps.
Where are they?
I'm waiting for them to arrive, honestly. I can't wait till they get
Well,
here.
thanks for joining us. And so I guess, obviously we've already gotten deep into Magic Mike here, but just a little bit of history. Like, had you seen this movie before, or like, do you have a fun story about the first time you saw it? I know when this movie first came out, a lot of women went out together in groups to see this movie in the theater as if it were an actual like male review kind
Like
of
girls'
thing.
night out type of thing, yeah.
Yeah. Were you a part of anything like that?
I mean, I literally have the memory of somebody who's had like multiple lobotomies, so maybe I did, but I don't remember. But I do have to say, I remember enjoying it, and I thought it was fun, and I enjoyed it again. It's an interesting watch because I was thinking about this when I was watching the dancers, and I think that's why I've been really harping on the dancing, because just like seeing a really sexy girl dance really well, that can be a turn on. Like seeing a man dance really well can be a turn on. And stripping technically is obviously all supposed to be about like getting you hot, getting you horny, getting you into it. And it's really interesting because like when men go see female strippers, it's not a joke. You're not like, oh my God, ha ha ha, when they're like dancing on you. It's like, the idea is like you're there to like get horned up. And it's really interesting watching the reverse. Like it feels like, I don't know why men being sexy is so like prudishly a joke and everybody's laughing, and it's like, yeah, I don't really have like a hard point. But I just was like, why is this a joke? It's so weird that this is like an embarrassing tee-hee-hee. Like the women aren't like getting, maybe they are getting turned on, but it kind of feels more like a novelty as opposed to why men might like go to the strip club and actually like get some steam out or something. And I was also thinking like, when I was watching the men dancing, I'm like, is this hot? Am I turned on? I really wasn't. I think it's because I think Channing Tatum looks like a gay beefcake fantasy. Like he's just so not my type. He just looks like a football player or something. But I was wondering, I was like, is there a version of this that would turn me on? And I think if people were naturally good dancers, like just had rhythm and just like had, you don't even have to do these crazy breakdancing things. But I think if people were like really just natural dancers, I would have been more into it myself.
Well, I think I watched this last night with my girlfriend who had the exact same take, except her thing was that she just said that this is the difference between male strippers and female strippers and that whole why people go to these things was that women don't go out to actually be like aroused and get off.
Yeah.
They're going out
Yeah.
for like the fun of the show, and there's like a certain amount of it is just like the sort of, you know, seeing your friend get called up on stage and embarrassed, and you know, just kind of like the over the top, the kitschy nature of it. And it also, I was listening to an interview that Channing Tatum did about this, and he was talking about the whole idea of male strippers. The first thing you have to learn is that like if you go out there and try to like make sexy faces and be all serious about it, nobody's going to take you seriously. You have to like lean into the humor.
Around.
Yeah, because I mean, it's more like a burlesque show. These things, it's a lot of props and a lot of theatrics
But it brings
and a lot
up
of
the
comedy.
question of why. Like why is it that? And again, these are huge gender generalizations. It's not like every guy is super turned on at a strip club, and it probably really depends on the strippers and it really depends on the blah, blah, blah. But let's go with like macro generalizations. Why is it that you could see like a really hot girl with like a sick bod dancing and get like literally turned on, and then it doesn't happen the other way around? And I'm wondering, is it because the guys are so beefy and cheesy, or like...
I think guys are just a little more inclined visually to, you know, get turned on by things.
I think if we're getting down to the
women
psychology
have to be in a
of
context. Yeah, women
That's
have to have like the context there and something behind it that grounds it. Whereas just goofing around and having fun with, like, it's a ladies' night. It's, you know, fun with the girlfriends and just some entertainment there.
I think if the strippers were a little less like cheese dog and a little more like... I actually think that women could get more into it if it was like you really had different types of strippers, like super skinny, like indie guys with lots of tattoos, like Brandon Boyd from Incubus. Like I'd probably be a little more into it. Or if it was like really handsome, like, you know, George Clooney style guys. I feel like that's the thing. I feel like we just assume that women won't get into it. And so they make it jokey, but I'm like, no, make it good and make it fun enough that we would be into it.
So wait, did you just reference Incubus?
Yeah, is that okay?
I'd appreciate it if you were going to reference Incubus, that you would call out a warning first.
Why? Is that a trigger word for you?
No,
He's making a
called
pun.
out a warning.
Oh, I never listen to music. I just thought it was really hot. It's not my type of music. No, that music was like, it's like,
Oh man, I was being so clever too.
I'm so sorry.
We'll have to take your word for it, Colin.
No, going back to what we were talking about, there's a little bit of a historical thing too. Like male stripping sort of became more of a thing after female stripping was a thing in general, at least in like our culture and society.
It's kind of
in
reactionary.
the United States.
Yeah.
So yeah, like in some way, like male stripping is sort of like an imitative act or something.
Interesting.
Like,
Interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I definitely, I
Or it
think,
could be considered that. Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's an interesting point, and I just think that in our particular culture, like in Latin America and other cultures, like men and women are sexy.
Yeah.
It's not just like women are sexy and that like in America, like in white America, it's like women are sexy and guys like drink a beer and go like, yeah, and like watch them. Whereas in other countries, some countries, it's like men are sexy too. And like men are a little more in their bodies and objectified as well. And I think that maybe part of the reason that like stripping for women is like tee hee hee, like it's a funny joke, is a little bit more also about our culture of like how uncomfortable men are like being an object of sexual desire, you know?
Right. Well, yeah, that's definitely
that's
a part of
interesting.
it. I do think that if there was a high demand for more serious stripping, all of the popular male stripping reviews wouldn't be kind of goof, like Chippendales and Thunder Down Under and all the, you know, all these big ones are kind of these kitschy, goofy burlesque shows. I feel like there must be a reason that they're all like that, and I think it's because I don't think these women want to like. I think you don't go out with your girlfriends to become like sexually aroused by a stripper. I think you go out to have like to get a little drunk and have some guy with big
I just think
arms
it sounds
sweat
more
on you.
fun to have it actually be hot than have it be jokey. And I think if there was like a really genuinely sexy review, then women would be into it.
Maybe.
What is the
yeah.
real female equivalent of a strip club? You know, like what do women go out to? Is there anything to like get, you know, hot and bothered or whatever, you know, like live, like
No, it would be a strip
know
club.
what.
I would be a stripper, but maybe it would just be done without a tongue in cheek, you know.
Well,
or
no. The other thing is women can go out to an actual club and usually find somebody to grind with. For, you know, like they don't necessarily have to go to a strip club. They can actually meet somebody somewhere. I think just dancing would be like sort of just going out to a dance club.
But the strip club thing is, I'm going to sit back and you're going to entice me. I'm not doing any work. You're doing the work.
I think there's also like a power thing at play. Like as a man, you want to like, you know, show that you're desiring, but you don't want to do it in such a way where the woman feels helpless, and then you translate that into the stripping act somehow.
That's interesting.
I
Like
don't
maybe
know,
it's
like,
rapey if you're not like joking and like
Right, yeah,
Maybe,
that's a
maybe.
good point.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That might be true because they're really physically aggressive with the women in this movie, but it's so tongue in cheek. It's hard to, you know, like everyone kind of knows that that's just all part of the show, you know.
Yeah, that one guy throws his back out with the crazy.
Which
shit
I
he's
actually
doing,
really
right?
didn't like. I thought that was really like 90s fat shaming. Like I just feel like to have a woman who's not skinny and him being like, oh my back. I'm like, oh yeah.
That's funny
Yeah,
because
I didn't like how it was performative like that. I wanted to see him like actually throw his back out and be like on the ground crying and like that would have been more real to me. If
that's
the problem,
I think
you know?
the thought that they were trying to
It was
make
mean-spirited,
was
I
that
think.
it was. I don't think it was intended to be mean spirited. I think they were showing like this is because the whole thing is like sort of the backstage. Here's what these, you know, male strippers go through that you wouldn't think about, and one of them is probably that this guy
I'm
probably
confused about what happened to Tarzan on that first one. Like he passed out from drugs. Is that what? It
he
was?
had too much of the what do they call it?
ecstasy.
Hey juice.
Oh, that's
yeah.
stuff.
So
yeah.
it's GHB,
Yeah, okay.
I think, is what they were drinking.
Oh, that'll.
I
fuck
have
you
to
up
say, I mean, I was like pretty much present watching the movie, enjoying it. The one thing that I hated, and it's a tiny writer note, but I very rarely read it in scripts because I think it's so obviously bad. But like once in a while, you'll read it and be like, what? And then seeing it in a movie. But she literally, in the first scene where the brother and sister are together, she goes, brother, like, don't do that, brother. I was like, what? Never in my life have I called my siblings sister, brother. I was like, this is such bad expositional, desperate, like, if you want to make people feel like they're just trying to convey information, I'm like, truly nobody talks that way. Like,
I noticed that too. And then in like the next scene, she is introduced to Channing Tatum, and she says like, "Oh, I'm his sister." So like,
we
that's the
could've waited.
introduction.
there you go.
Yeah,
They were very concerned that we would think they were a couple in that first scene, and they just
Right.
had to fix it. And I think
Because
they overcorrected.
the whole movie's so sexy that it's just it can't.
I mean, it's definitely fun. I was also trying to analyze how I felt about Matthew McConaughey, because when I was watching him, I was like, it's interesting that he's like always shirtless, he's always tan, clearly he's in good shape, but there's really nothing sexy about him. He feels like a greasy leather purse in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you? He's from Texas. He's carrying the whole hope of the state of Texas and male sexuality on his shoulders.
his name is Dallas, for Christ's sake.
His name was Dallas, damn it.
Yeah, I was like, he's an interesting character, because I'm like, all the guys who are shirtless in this should be like fuckable, or you'd want to fuck him. But he seemed really mentally ill in this movie. Like,
Well, and I think that's what I think is really interesting about this movie is that like you think it's hard to read. It doesn't fit into any specific categories. And it's like what we were saying before, like what kind of movie is this exactly? And I remember the first time I saw it being very confused because I thought it was a movie about Magic Mike. But then we spent all this time following the kid.
You're right.
But the kid is just a total douchebag and
and
a
he has a
complete
wash
asshole.
of a personality. It's like you could give a shit either way.
Exactly. And I'm like, this is the main character. But then in the second half, it isn't the main character because all of a sudden Magic Mike, who seems like he's got the world on a string, has all these conflicts. And the kid
you're right.
turns out that he is an asshole that we're not supposed to be cheering for. And, you know,
There's
and
like
Matthew McConaughey's character has all this depth to him. And it just doesn't follow a lot of the standard rules, which is something I liked about it, is that like I never knew where it was taking me and what story it was telling. And it's sort of, but I felt like I was in good hands. I felt like somebody knew what kind of story they were telling for the most part.
There's a mixture of glamorizing what's going on and very much not glamorizing what's going on.
It almost
at the
goes
same
from
time.
one to the other.
I think that, yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
Much like Oh, sorry. I was going to say, much like a movie that we just watched, Showgirls. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Tons of fun. You know what? It's interesting. You guys are bringing up some interesting points. Really interesting. Like, Harris, sometimes when I'm watching a movie, if I've had a really long day, I can sort of take off my, like, analytical brain and enjoy it. But I think I was also picking up on what you were just talking about structurally, how you're like, how the protagonists kind of switch. That is interesting and kind of unusual. And another thing is that when you were saying it's an indie film, because it's a really hard to categorize film, because it honestly, even though it's about stripping, it almost feels like a big PG-13 blockbuster. Like, even though you see some boobs, you see some bodies, it feels pretty squeaky clean in a weird way. Like, it feels like a pretty soft, it's not like a Harmony Korine movie or anything.
It's very, it's very character driven, and it's about generally nice people.
Yeah. That's a good
trying
point.
to figure their shit out,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's something really mainstream and weirdly kind of not edgy about it, strangely.
Yeah, I feel like in a movie like this, typically you would see the characters fall deeper down the hole
Like
of
an Aronofsky
drugs
movie
or
or something,
whatever.
yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, or like Boogie Nights or something like that.
But it's
you're
not
right.
a
It
morality
doesn't really
tale.
go there.
Yeah, and I kind of like it. I kind of like what you were saying, Colin, how it's like you see the pitfalls, some drugs, some like struggles. And then you also see the fun scenes, which I really enjoy, because it's like sometimes when the movies are too much just like the dregs of, drugs, and it's just kind of like just all depressing. And I thought they did a nice
And sometimes
balance.
the movies forget that drugs are also a lot of fun.
Exactly. It's interesting too, because I weirdly had a lot of. I thought one of the best scenes in the movie was when Channing Tatum is like trying to get a loan, and and it's like this guy who comes off so
Those
confidently.
horrible glasses. I hated those
Yeah, he
glasses.
just
he
looks
wore in
like-
that scene.
I mean, he's definitely like obviously.
And the sister-in-law from Breaking Bad is crushing on him, but also has to turn him down.
It's just a great scene because this guy, among men, men probably look up to him because he's tall and he's handsome and he's alpha and he's
Totally
like,
confident. Every room he walks into, he's in charge.
he's
And
the
then
man, and he's actually very nice, and he's charismatic, and he's sweet, and so he seems to, in some ways, have a lot of social status. But at the very end of the day, it's all about fucking money, and he actually has no social power, actually, which is like really interesting. It's like this, suave, handsome, charming guy. But it was like a good class moment of like,
It's like in The Raining Men, he is the largest droplet, but in the ocean, he is only a droplet.
That's right. You can buy Colin's first book of e-poetry on Amazon. It's called The Drops of Masculinity.
Yes, the drops of masculinity.
But I just thought that scene was awesome because it was like it was kind of like the most depressing scene in the movie in a way,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what I was gonna say when you were talking about how it was like almost a PG-13 blockbuster is this was my first time watching it, and yeah, I kind of didn't watch it because it's about male strippers, and that didn't totally interest me. And I had already had a lot of people tell me like,
You thought
oh,
it
no,
might
it's a
turn
good
you
movie.
gay.
Oh yeah, so afraid. No, no, I just was like, okay, like I'll probably watch it eventually if it's actually good, but it's not like it's still not making the top of my list just
Right.
because people are telling me it's actually good.
Right.
But the thing that confused me is I didn't totally put together, and I was joking about it with them. Is I did get the people telling me no, it's really good, you should still see it, and I did still know it was about male strippers, but I thought it was going to be way more hardcore than this. And I was joking with them. I was like, I didn't see any scrotes. I didn't see no buttholes.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, no, not a single taint in this entire movie.
No taint.
Yeah, it was not Spring Breakers. It was not
Yeah.
hardcore.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, I do have a soft spot for watching. I just find like white trash culture really fascinating, in this like Tampa, like he's really hot in a very white trash way, like, with his kind of hip hop dressing and his like, it's a really particular thing, and I find that fascinating. That sounds
and
so
the
snobby.
working the construction job, and just the whole kind of like not quite over the hump lifestyle that they're living there and that's what I think one of the good values of this movie is that it does sort of capture this weird subculture of not just the stripping, but also the, just skating by and living in shitty little apartments in Tampa.
I would have,
and
I would have liked, how you were talking about the scene where the woman is like, "I am your sister" or whatever. I would have liked it to be more clear that they were saying they were in Tampa earlier somehow in the script.
Yeah.
You get those month placards that are like June or whatever, and I love the font so much.
Yeah, the font was great, and the cuts were really good too. It was
Yeah,
some
yeah.
really
Yeah.
fun cuts.
boom, right in your
But
face.
if there was if he had drove by a sign that said like now entering Tampa
Yeah.
or like best cars in Tampa or like something in Tampa or whatever, I
Or
would
if
have
she had
liked
just
that a
come in
little
and
more.
been like, "Hey, brother, isn't it a beautiful morning here in Tampa?"
Yeah.
Just two birds with one stone right there.
You just moved here and rely on me. I don't know what I do for a living, but it's better than your situation. Yeah, it's actually interesting because they made some interesting choices that I like. I like that Mike. I think a really winning combo for him is that he's like a total softie and a sweetie, and like, but he actually kind of like wants to take Olivia Munn on a date, and it's kind of the reverse of what you think. Like, he actually really like wants a partner and like is kind of a sweetie,
He's sort of in a douchebag lifestyle, but he doesn't want to be a douchebag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he wants to break free from the bonds of Tampa.
And that's really what the movie is about. It's about Magic Mike realizing that he's stuck in this douchebag lifestyle and it's not working for him.
I'm not a male stripper in Tampa, but when he was like, "I don't want to be a 40-year-old stripper in Tampa," I mean, the TV writing grind is a grind, and I was like, I feel you, brother. I don't want to be like,
But do you believe it?
I want to be
You believe
picking
it,
up
Rose.
the Quibi scraps when I'm fucking 40.
Hey everyone, sorry for this interruption, but I'm here to quickly tell you about our Patreon page. Patreon is where our super fans can go to subscribe for just $1 a month in order to get cool, exclusive content like extra non-franchise episodes recorded by none other than myself, Colin, and Harris. So whether you're a McGroupie, a Harrisite, or a card-carrying member of Colin Nation, www.patreon.com/L2W is where you'll get your fix. Again, that's www.patreon.com/L2W. This is the part where I quickly ramble off some of the exclusive content movies that we've covered already. And here we go. The Mortal Kombat reboot, Enter the Dragon, The Running Man, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, The Saint, Total Recall, Commando, Maverick, Loaded Weapon 1, The Untouchables, Scrooged, Scarface, Dune, Rudy, all 4 Star Trek Next Generation movies, Cliffhanger, Hard Boiled, Twister, and inspired by Magic Mike, our Patreon episode next week will be Showgirls. So subscribe for just $1 a month at www.patreon.com/L2W today.
Yeah.
should we summarize this plot?
Summarize it.
Is it supposed
It's
to be
not
me?
me now. I think
it's
Matt.
It's Matt. It's Matt.
I think it is me.
Colin
We
is
take turns who
Colin's
does
in
the
charge of
summaries.
top 4, which I hope he remembered.
Oh God, I didn't know that.
yeah,
We're doing McConaughey. We got to do McConaughey, right?
We could do him.
I guess, yeah. But
Here,
anyways,
stop cheating. Get off your.
I'm not cheating. Nobody's cheating.
All right, so we try to summarize the plot in 2 minutes. We take turns doing this. So
Great.
it is my turn. Who's gonna
Here.
hold the clock?
I
got your
love
clock.
this little.
I got your
I love
clock
this
for
little-
you. You ready?
I did not rehearse or practice, or I only watched the movie once.
Harris
Yeah,
has
you're
got
terrible.
Harris has got the clock.
Yeah,
He's one
you
of
are
the,
fucked.
What the clock rocking kings of. The
Yeah, the clock rocking kings of Koreatown. All right, Matt, you ready?
Ooh, I love that. That sounds
Yeah,
like a swing
I'm ready as
band.
I'll ever be.
Here we go. And go.
All right, so the movie starts off, and we meet Mike. He's a construction worker, but he's a construction worker by day, stripper by night. And he meets the kid, whose name is Adam, I think, at a construction site, and he feels bad for him. He's kind of a schlub. He doesn't know what his life is, and he says, "Hey, man, come with me tonight." And he takes him to the strip club, and the kid learns that he's a stripper, that Mike is a stripper, and that I'm losing it already.
You're doing great.
Mike throws him on stage and says, "Here you go, do your thing, take off your hoodie," right? So he strips and he kind of likes it, and they see something in him, and so he becomes one of the strippers at Exquisite, which is the name of the club. Let's see. Adam's sister is Brooke, and Mike likes her, but he's also dating Olivia Munn on and off, and he wants to take her on a date, as we mentioned, but she's not interested, and then we find out that she's actually engaged to a guy. What else? The kid gets involved with drugs from Fluffy. What's that guy's name? Gabriel Iglesias.
Yeah, that's right.
Things start to unravel and go downhill, and Mike is supposed to protect him from these sorts of things as per Brooke, and he doesn't, and the kid vomits and he passes out from drugs. We don't know what. He loses a lot of the pills and owes Fluffy a lot of money, and they come and they destroy Mike's house. What else happens? I forgot to mention Matthew McConaughey. Yeah. Right. They go to a sorority club and they get their asses beat and they lose all their pills and money. Matthew McConaughey plays Dallas. He's the owner of the club. He wants to move down to Miami. And then at the end, Mike realizes that he's not meant for this sort of thing. And he goes back and apologizes to Brooke. And she loves breakfast and so does he. And it all works out in the end. I feel like I missed a lot.
No, you actually covered a lot.
Yeah, you covered
You
a
didn't
lot.
say anything about the sandbar party, so that was.
Yeah,
that was
you
cool.
missed some
Or the
stuff. You
hurricane
covered some
party.
stuff. It's kind of a rambling story, so it's not like it's
Much like this movie, I was going to say before that, like Showgirls, which also meandered through the plot
Did it?
in a
I don't
horrible
remember
way.
it. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Oh, it's very long, and it kind of makes you question, like, what? Where is this movie going?
boring?
what was
What's
it,
happening here?
what was everyone
It's
thinking,
boring.
and
You know what was boring?
actually-
Is Hustlers. I thought that was fucking boring.
I didn't see that.
There was no plot.
I kind of didn't get what the hype was about that. Although I thought Jennifer Lopez was really good in that.
She was good, but it was just a music video. There was no consequences, no stakes, no problems. They were just partying for 2 hours.
It's
Shots
weird.
Much like
fired.
this movie.
Shots fired, Hustlers.
Yeah, it's weird that in Hustlers they didn't work hard or move fast enough.
Colin, did you make sure to see Hustlers when it came
No,
out?
I didn't. I
It's
was a little
actually
confused
not-
about what it was.
It's a terrible film. I was shocked when people were like, Jennifer Lopez was robbed for an Oscar. I was like, an Oscar? Oh, squeeze me?
That was one of those movies that came out and came and went, and like other than Jennifer Lopez is in this, I got very little information, word of mouth or from media in general, about what the fuck the movie even was.
Okay.
That was
these
pretty
are-
much the promotional, all the promotional material on that was Jennifer Lopez is in this and she does her own stripping
I'm
scene,
firing-
but she doesn't take her clothes off.
I'm firing extra shots, which is if you make a movie about strippers who steal and grift, boring, congratulations. That's a real feat. That should be a fucking riveting movie.
Yeah.
Wait, they steal and grift like they're con artists?
Yeah,
Or,
which would've been
they just,
amazing.
They're like pickpockets. or
Yeah,
what?
kind of like that. Like they get their male clients
Both,
drunk and
everything.
rip them off, which
They're
is
just
a
stealing
great.
stuff.
It should have been like Lock, Stock. It should have been exciting, and there should have been consequences, and people should
I
have been
feel like
after
that's what
them.
they were. I feel like that's what they were going for, and somehow they got too derailed by character exploration.
too derailed by
They
like
hustled
slow-mo.
themselves, you might say.
I would say the writer and director hustled themselves by not going to their full potential.
Well, speaking of snubs, they say that Matthew McConaughey was snubbed when he wasn't nominated for this movie.
Oh, interesting.
People,
Which seems
people
like a
thought that he
stretch.
should have got a supporting
Wasn't
actor
this the
nom.
year after Dallas Buyers Club?
No,
or the
this
year
was
before?
a couple years before, year before, maybe.
No, Dallas Buyers Club is like
Yeah, this
like
is
a real fucking performance.
so this is
Like,
at a
that's
point in
just
his career
intense.
where this is at a point in his career where he was making like he had just made The Lincoln Lawyer. He was definitely like he was a venerable elder statesman of lead actors, and he got to that point where
Interstellar was the same year. I
everyone
think, right?
loves Matthew
Yeah, that one's
McConaughey. Everyone thinks he's great and everything. Everyone wants to see him and stuff. And I think that's where a lot of the Oscar hype for this came in. It was like, oh, hey, Matthew McConaughey was surprised us by taking this, small role in a little indie film and nailing it and kind of stealing every scene he's in. Maybe this is going to be our only chance to give him an Oscar. And little did they know a year later he was going to do Dallas Buyers Club and it would all be moot. But, I think that was a lot of the awards buzz over him was like, hey, this could be it for him,
Every time you call it an indie movie, even though it absolutely is, it just rubs me wrong because it's like when I think of indie movies, I think of these like really complex. And Mike is like a golden retriever. He's such a little sweetie, and it's an interesting thing.
I mean, Steven Soderbergh is like the ultimate indie director.
No, you're
and this
right.
was a movie. This was a movie that was made for under $7 million, totally financed by Soderbergh and Tatum. They funded the movie entirely themselves. It made $167 million on a
awesome.
$7 million budget. How insane is that?
That's insane.
That is pretty remarkable.
Here's a thought I had while watching this movie. The role of the kid is like could have been such a like memorable role, and I feel like this guy Alex Pettyfer, his name is, I feel like he completely wasted the role. He's completely, for me, like unmemorable. He doesn't like do anything that warrants.
I had a hard time caring about his character though anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Me too, because he wasn't a good guy.
Yeah, and like he got a bunch of stuff handed to him like right away. That's to me one of my things about the story overall is like, yeah, you do have to bring this kid in and introduce him to this and like make him become part of the lifestyle, but it happens super duper fast, and he goes from like he even says it later, like I went from absolutely nothing to being you, you know, like basically. And I know that's like how it's supposed to be, but it happens so fast in terms of like the beginning of the movie, and then this stuff happens. I was like, only in movies do things like this happen this fast, you know?
Let me throw something out there, and because I totally agree with everything that all you guys are saying, and in fact, I had to look up Alex Pettyfer, and I was like, he must have done something else I'd know him from, but he literally...
Is he in a Transformers movie or something?
One and done, that was it?
Well, no, he's been in other things, but just nothing that anybody would know. It's like he's been the lead in some other, like, you know, young adult type stuff, and I don't know. Is
he in I Am Number 4?
That's I don't know what that is, but
Really?
that was his first big movie, or one of his first big movies. Anyways,
I really wish that movie had been
I
about
don't think
numbers.
I don't think he failed the role. I think the role is a drip role. Like, and
Yes.
I actually think
Yeah,
maybe
I
that's
agree.
okay. I think maybe it's to show how different. It's almost like the entire point of that character is just so that he can meet the sister. And it's actually interesting because when Magic Mike says, I promise to take care of your brother, I was shocked. I thought for sure the reason that he said that is because when the brother like falls into drugs and everything goes down, I thought she was going to be screaming at him and be like, you promised that you were going to take care of him. You completely dropped the ball. And I was really surprised that never got thrown back.
instead she just sort of says, oh yeah, my brother's an asshole.
Yeah. I think her character never really believed that he was going to be able to take care of him either.
Right, because she knows her brother, and she knows that he's an asshole and he's going to do whatever he wants. I mean, that was sort of the you know, the twist ending, I guess. But it's funny because I agree with everything you guys have been saying about it, but I do think I think that's the role. And I've always thought like, oh man, they could have cast so many other people and got a better performance and whatever. But the truth is, I don't think we're supposed to like him, and I don't think I think we're supposed to have I think the takeaway from this is exactly what it's intended to be. I don't think we're supposed to like you know, relate to him or cheer about him. And at the end, when you know things go sour, I think we're supposed to think, yeah, what a fucking asshole. I'm glad we don't. Have to deal with this.
Yeah, and they just sort of end it off. He becomes the new Magic Mike, and like that's his arc, you know,
Right.
like that's the end. He'll just go on
But
to Miami,
but he
which
doesn't- and
inevitably
he
will be a
lacks
bigger and better version.
And
of
he lacks the
this.
self-awareness to ever be troubled by that. So he'll probably be great at it.
I love that you keep calling him a drip, unintentionally referencing droplets of masculinity.
Well, I'm not unintentionally,
My audio
Colin,
book.
I'm not unintentionally referencing. I'm literally plugging your book.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
Hashtag drip drop. I mean, I actually thought that I don't think she has much to do in the movie, Brooke, but I think she's a charming actress. I think she's got a nice, likable, and she's very pretty, but she also kind of feels a little bit like bad posture tomboyish, even though she's so conventionally attractive, which I think is cute. But
That weird mouth.
I think she's cute. She's
How dare you?
I thought she was cute too, and I always found
I
myself
can say
struggling
she's
to
got a
think of
weird
something
mouth
else that
and
she's
also-
in.
She's cute, and she also has a weird mouth. It's like, you know, she's got one of those little, like, one of those weird Guy Pearce mouths where there's like some extra there.
Oh, that's interesting.
extra teeth.
But I do have to say one quality that I didn't like love about her, even though I found her charming, was like, and it wasn't like getting my goat when I was watching the movie, but if I think about it, and a little bit, it was like, she was a little bit of a doormat to her brother. And it's like, we all have siblings that we love. You know, sometimes you have a troublemaker sibling. Sometimes you have an addict sibling. Like, there's a million different kinds of siblings to have. And of course, like, you can't control people's behavior. But, like, she was so good to him and, like, gave him a place to live and establish. She was such a supportive, like, older sister. And he treated her like shit. And I just felt like she never put the kibosh on, like, guess what? You can't just come in here and do drugs. I'm worried about you.
We needed a good scene with the two of them having it
He
out.
used her razor.
Yeah, without permission. Used her razor to shave his legs without her permission.
Also, I kind
crossing
of
all
was
sorts of
surprised that she didn't have a big moment with him. Like, she seemed like a really loving older sister. I'm kind of surprised she wasn't like, I'm worried about you. You're on drugs. You're coming home like, I thought you died. Like, it seems
I
like she
think
kind
she's
of
like
takes
long
it.
been. Oh, sorry. I think she's long been defeated in the relationship. You
I
know,
wonder
already,
if I wonder if some of that has to do with maybe because she's a model turned actress, which
In
a
the-
lot of
in
people.
the-
No,
in
no,
the
in
movie?
real life. No, in real
Oh, I
life.
see.
She's a model turned actress. This is one of
I
her
was talking about
earliest
the
roles.
character.
She made End of Watch the same year. She had a small part in that.
I saw that movie, but I don't remember her.
She was
I
one of
didn't
the
see
other
that
cops.
movie.
She was one of the. There was like a female duo of cops that hang out with the main characters.
End of Watch, you said?
Yes.
End of Watch?
End
never
I
seen
couldn't
that.
see it. I ran out of time.
Anyways,
Colin, do you have kids yet? Because you are just primed with the dad jokes. They're locked
he's
and
got a dad
loaded.
bod too, so he's got the whole thing.
Dad, dad, dad.
Um,
You just need a
but
couple of
she's-
babies now.
But this was like one of her earlier roles, and I suspect that if it might have been a thing of where like they might have wanted a scene like that, and she might just didn't have the chops for it. Because I do feel like they were cutting around her performance a little bit. I don't think she was bad, like you said.
did
She's
you?
very charming. But
Yeah.
I did feel like they might have been cutting around her a little bit to help her out.
Harris, did you read any of the IMDb trivia about this?
I did read some of it. Yes.
Did you read about her? It said that she came into the audition and she did the whole bit with the actor that she was reading with, and he left the room. And then the casting person came up to her and was like, "You're never going to hear this again in your career, but you booked the role the second you walked in the room."
Wow,
or something like
that's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, though? I have to say, I have to give props. I really thought, okay, there's a couple of props I have to give. I haven't necessarily, I can't think of any other movies I've seen with Channing Tatum, but he's really good. And he has a really, for somebody with a dance background and not necessarily an acting background, he has such a naturalness to him. And in the scenes with Brooke when they're flirting, that's really good natural chemistry. He does, just the playful,
Yeah.
like, oh, you like me, that kind of, it was really good. Like, that's not as easy as it seems to be that calm and funny and natural and flirty. I thought that
He's
was
got
like,
charisma.
really-
We've talked about this before on this
Big
show
time,
about
big
some
time.
actors. Just when they're on the screen, you're just like, okay, I'm in. I buy it.
That's what I'm
know,
saying.
like-
you can't learn
yeah.
that stuff in school. He
can't
kind of
learn
just
it,
has
no.
it. But I thought
Yeah.
she had a little bit of it too. Like, even when they were razzing each other, they had this like,
They were good together.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
really big time. I thought they
Definitely.
had good chemistry.
Did they bring her back for the sequel, Harris?
No. And I don't know how much you want to get into the sequel, but no, she's not
Yeah,
back
no.
in the
No,
sequel.
I don't want to. I don't want any.
We don't want to taint any of the sequel. You don't want any
I
taint in the
also,
sequel.
I heard a similar story like that. Where
Is there
someone
taint
said-
in the sequel?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm only going to watch it. I only watch movies with sick taint scenes. The extended taint cut.
Extended taint.
Because you said that Channing Tatum's background is as a dancer and not an actor, and his background really isn't as a dancer. His
is it?
he is also a model.
Wow.
His big breakout was modeling Abercrombie and Fitch and some other stuff, like a lot of
That
print
makes sense.
modeling. And he said it was kind of boring and unchallenging, and he wanted to act. So
I was
he
an
branched out.
Abercrombie model once as well, actually.
And how did it go?
Well, I worked in an Abercrombie store, and like when you're hired, your designation is either like model or like some other cashier or something like that. And
Did you
yeah,
stand in
so
front of
my
the store?
designation-
I
No,
can't
they
tell if this is
actually-
serious or this is just a build up to
I
some
think
stupid
he's serious.
fucking pun.
To a
100%
pun.
true. This is 100% true. I was an Abercrombie and Fitch model for a period of a few months.
Was it
in
fun?
The year 2008, I think.
Did they make you comb your hair over your face? I don't understand how
It
this
was
works.
not fun. It was not fun. And Harris, you're gonna be sad when you find out what really happened. I worked at that Abercrombie, and they forced me to stay in the back room, locked behind the door, and they told me go back there and you don't come up here.
Wait,
because we don't
so you
want
were the
nobody to
model that
see
they hid in the closet?
Yes.
You clean this bathroom and you clean it good.
They only let me take the tags off the clothes and put the tags back on.
It's
the
like
clothes.
bully,
And
like
one
80s
time-
bullies run the store. Like, what is happening?
It's Abercrombie and Fitch. What did you expect?
Yeah, no, that all checks out. Yeah.
No, all
Did
the
you get
other
a good
coworkers
discount
were all
on like polos and flip flops and stuff?
yeah, you get like 20% off or some bullshit. Yeah, and all the other people who worked there were like average age 17 years old.
Were you like 46? Just kidding.
This is just last year.
Yeah. No.
Hey, I'm your manager. You better give me some respect.
No, the best part was I
Old
accidentally
man.
let these two girls like probably shoplift a bunch of stuff because I came out of the back like I wasn't supposed to do because I had to go to the bathroom. And lo and behold, none of the 17-year-olds decided to work that day, so there was no one in the Abercrombie. And then these two girls come up and they're like, "Can we try on all these clothes?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess the key to the dressing room's over here somewhere." And and then they were like, "Go back in the back," and I was like, "I think those girls just."
They were
The
like,
customers told you that?
We're just gonna try on all these clothes under our clothes. If you could just go in the back.
Thanks for telling us where to go to change into these clothes, sir. Can you please go back into your hole now?
Precisely.
Oh boy. Well, that
Harsh.
sounds
Also-
interesting.
But I was an Abercrombie model, just like Channing Tatum.
It was one of those things where normally when you work at one of those stores, they make you wear the clothes of the store. And at that store, they were telling Colin, "Hey, we got some Gap stuff for you to wear." Yeah, don't ever wear any
Get your
Abercrombie
face
stuff here.
off of these clothes.
What was funny is at that time, like all the actual photography inside of Abercrombie stores, the models did not wear any clothes at all. It was all nudes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember ever walking to an Abercrombie store in like 2008, but
do
all
remember.
of the models were nudes. Like they didn't even wear the clothes in the Abercrombie photos.
One of my best friends is a comedian and filmmaker, and back in his, I don't know if it was his teens or early 20s, he would just make these weird pranky videos, and he made a video of himself barfing in the front of Abercrombie and Fitch right in front of all these models, just like he just made himself throw up in front of them at their feet.
I
Anyway.
don't think he made himself
I don't
throw
know why
up.
I think that's
the
funny.
have you ever been inside one of those stores? The cologne
cologne
odor
smell?
is higher than the oxygen content. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gasping for breath. I also thought Olivia Munn, who I've never seen in anything and have no opinion about, completely neutral, was also good in this movie.
I
That's good.
agree
Yes.
too.
I
I
love her.
agree.
And you have to say she's good.
I'm one of those people who also doesn't know why she's famous and
Yeah, I
is
don't know
like,
her
who the
work.
fuck is? I know her name. I'm familiar with her. I recognize her.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what she's ever done in her entire life that makes her a celebrity. And then I see her in this movie, and I'm like, why isn't she in more stuff? She can kind of act, you know?
I think she can. Yeah, I thought she could carry it, and I thought the casting was very good. I thought everyone had natural chemistry together. Even that guy, the brother, he does seem like he does really look up to Channing Tatum. It's very well cast. It's a good group.
Even Gabriel Iglesias, I usually can't stand him, and I thought
Yeah.
he was great in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He
I
was.
agree. I wanted to see more of Tarzan. Even like I wanted to see
Yeah,
more.
well, that's another thing. Yeah, I mean, even the strippers who, honestly, most of these guys are TV actors. You know, Matt Bomer and what's his name? Matt Bomer's from
Big Dick Ritchie?
White Collar. Big Dick
Sofia
Ritchie, yeah.
Vergara's husband.
Yeah, Joe Manganiello, who we've talked about before. I'm not sure. I think this is the role he was born to play, just some
He
big
barely gets
beefcake.
any time in.
Exactly as it should be.
Does he even have any dialogue? Yeah,
I
like
don't
one
think
line.
so.
Yeah, he had a couple of lines. Adam Rodriguez is the guy who plays Tito. He's from CSI Miami. And Kevin Nash, who plays Tarzan, is a professional wrestler turned actor. But they actually do kind of make it work. Like, I love this. One of my favorite scenes is when they bring the kid into the back dressing room and introduce him to all the strippers. And Joe Manganiello's character immediately starts fucking with him and is like, you know, are you a cop or whatever? And then they tell him to sit down on the couch, and Kevin Nash is like telling him to, you know, lube up his ashy leg. And then they're all busting
Oh,
his
right,
balls
that was
about it.
fun.
And I was like, I've been in work, you know, I've never been a stripper, but I've been in workplaces where this is how you
Where
get
everyone's
treated
kinda
when you're the
razzing
new
you.
guy. Yeah, exactly. And it
yeah.
felt very authentic, and they all kind of just pulled it off. And I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. Yeah.
For
Yeah,
a hot
but
second
then they
there, I
had to
forgot the
tell
plot
you-
of this movie, and when he was asking him if he was a cop, and they kind of linger on that shot of him staring at him. I was like, oh wait, is he actually a cop? Like, is that a
Would that
plot
make
That
more
line
was
that
sense or
gonna be
less?
about? Wait, what does
Yeah.
Brooke do for a living? Do we even know?
She's a nurse's technician
Oh,
or something.
Nurse's
boring.
assistant.
Okay.
does
Yeah, she's
paperwork.
like a
Nurse's
nurse's
assistant.
secretary.
Doesn't
She does
matter.
paperwork at a doctor's
She
office.
says she does nurse's paperwork. She
Yeah.
files their paperwork.
For somebody
Yeah.
being really judgy about getting her life together, it doesn't seem like she's like bursting with passion about what she's doing.
It's Tampa. Just having a clerical job puts you in like the
being, like,
1%. Yeah.
Relatively sober.
Yeah, exactly.
When I think of the hottest scene in this movie, like a scene where I was like, oh, this is actually hot, to me, do you guys think that there were any hot scenes in this movie? Before I share mine.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
No, not really. I can't think of one. I guess the one
again,
where
it's like the PG-13 nature of it. Like they really kind of made a lot of cuts right before the
they
real
have
stuff
the
happened,
scene.
you know.
I don't know if I think it's hot or if I just really love the weird camera move, but they have the scene where the camera goes down, the kid as he's getting
blowjob thing.
As he's getting the blowjob from the girl who just turned 21, and then the camera flips upside down to Magic Mike making out with the other girl somewhere else, like on the other side of the booth. That's kind of hot, I guess.
Yeah, there was some
The
sexy
artistry of that
moments.
shot got you off?
I thought the sexiest moment to me was when they were at the sorority and he's like kind of vibing with this girl. And he gives her an ecstasy pill and they look like they're going to fuck. And I guess I thought that was the hottest part and the sorority was the hottest part because that seemed like the women were actually turned on and that there was like an actual sexual charge. Like
it wasn't so jokey.
Yeah, the shock of it.
Why were those
something.
guys all like hanging out in the next room like the whole time though?
I did not
intimidated.
understand that. Yeah, I didn't understand.
But like,
that
why wouldn't they go
scenario.
to their own party?
Why are these girls having their boyfriends play beer pong in the next room while they're having the strippers show up? Like,
Yeah,
what the fuck
exactly.
is going on here? Who hired these
Yeah.
strippers and were like, yeah, the boyfriends are going to be in the next room playing beer pong. Don't worry about them. They're cool. You know, like,
But they
no,
like
that's
stayed.
not-
What were the conversations in that room? Like, yeah, keep playing beer pong, but I'm gonna watch all these guys strip for my girlfriend.
I think they were trying to be like, we don't care. We're fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
We don't mind.
I'm comfortable.
Yeah, we're
with
I'm
that
not
masculinity.
intimidated.
Yeah,
I'm
right,
as hot
exactly,
as
yeah.
him.
Yeah, I'm
but yeah.
basically the same thing.
I guess I thought that scene was hot because it seemed like there was like an actual like this is like she was into it. Like it felt like she was like this guy's fucking hot, and it seemed like
Right.
I did not. I just saw the whole drug thing going down, and I was like, this is just someone getting drugged.
Yeah, I felt like
No, I get what you're saying. Because you know what it is they play the whole cop thing so well. So like presumably someone ordered these strippers, right? We don't know
Right.
who. We don't know if it was the boyfriends or if one of the girls did it.
Right.
But whoever it was, the girls all seem to generally believe that these are real cops.
Yeah, it was
and they
kinda
come in
hot.
here and they're playing
yeah.
the cop thing really well, and then until all of a sudden they rip their pants off, and then it's like,
Yeah.
so it's like that shock moment of like,
And the
excitement. I don't know.
And the girl seems to think that this guy is really fucking hot. I mean, he looks like he's her
Right.
age. He's just like the sexy
Yeah,
young
yeah.
blonde guy. You know, it's like
yeah,
Okay.
that was my
I
thought,
understand
my
where you're
take. I
coming from.
mean,
she's hot too.
yeah, there's just a
I
vibe.
thought.
I understand where you come from. Yeah.
So the first time I ever saw this movie, so this was my selection for our movies. I chose Magic Mike, and the first time much like Colin, when in 2012 when this movie came out, I did not see it. And Steven Soderbergh is one of my favorite directors. I love him. I've seen everything he's done. I like a lot of his movies a lot. And just never
That's
saw
so
this.
interesting that you loved his movies, but you didn't see it because it was about male strippers.
Yeah, no, I just
Because women go to see movies about women strippers. It's interesting that guys are like, I don't think this is gonna be.
Well,
for
no,
me."
it wasn't specifically that I went to see it. I didn't go to see it because I wasn't like, oh, male strippers. I don't want to question my sexuality. It was more like, because of the way it was marketed. Originally, it was marketed as like a rom-com, and the first trailer is all about Brooke and Magic Mike. And then they realized that they could actually market this to gay men and women. And so the next
That's
trailer,
when Harris got interested.
they put out like a red band trailer that was just like, it's fucking ripped dudes stripping, and that was and it became this phenomenon where women were going out in huge groups and all going together like women going to a strip club, and they would go out and see this
It's like a
movie, and they
50
would go
Shades of
have
Grey moment.
girls, the girls'
Right.
night out. It was like a little mommy porn.
Right.
And that was I have to say, I don't think I always thought that's what the movie was. I wasn't the target audience. I didn't know a lot about it, but just knew that I wasn't the person that they were trying to attract because people like me weren't going to see the movie.
Well, that's the thing is I'm busting all y'all's chops, but it's like anything with men, women will go and see, women will go da 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 da. And it's like, if something is marketed that women will like it, the idea is like, nah, it's not for me. It's like,
I
women
don't.
see all
I don't
kinds
know
of
that.
movies.
I don't know that. I didn't see a lot of women in the audience for John Wick. There's certain
Women have
movies
seen
that.
John Wick.
Well, and you know, and I've seen this now, and I watch rom-coms all the time, but like this, I don't think. I mean, I do think there's things that I couldn't force my girlfriend to see. She just wouldn't do it. So I don't know that it's a perfect.
Snuff porn.
Yes, that's mostly what I watch. But she's
I
like,
told
no,
her
no.
it's my favorite, and she just refuses.
Yeah, I'm like, don't you want to know me?
You love me, but you don't know me is the problem.
Yeah. Also, if you want to like talk about, I feel like we're talking a lot about the marketing of the movie. Marketing is so targeted now that it's like, yeah, like what you're saying is, you know, ideally I should want to go see it, but like there's movies that I also should want to go see that are like totally male driven. And like I didn't want to see John Wick 2 that much. I didn't like it as much as some of the other like people who saw it. Me and Matt saw that together, and I came out and Matt was like, "That was good," and I was like, "I didn't like it as much."
They've gotten worse
But, like,
every one.
There's stuff like that where like it's becoming so targeted now that you're talking about like subgroups, not all men or all women. You know, like very specific subgroups, like women who want to see a movie with other women that's about having sex with men. That's what it's like super targeted for,
as,
and like,
yeah.
and I'm like aware of that, and that makes it like, even though it's kind of not just that, like, and it has some appeal, like I obviously enjoyed the movie, I know the targeted marketing is like for groups of women to go see it.
That's interesting that you're saying that, because before I jumped on with you guys, lately in the pandemic, I feel like my taste for things that are difficult to watch has been like almost zero. Like I just need things that are comforting and easy. Like once in a while I'll watch like something sort of, I'm watching a really good series on Netflix called Veneno, which is a little heavy, but generally I like light things. And so just before talking to you guys, I was just browsing Amazon Prime, which I hate plugging because it's evil, but I just saw Waiting to Exhale, and I had never seen that. And it's like, that's a seminal black rom-com that like any, you know, all of my black friends, it's like a huge movie. It's like Sex and the City. It's just so big. And I love rom-coms, and you're talking about marketing. And I feel like at the time it came out, I was probably like, oh, that's not like, you know, I don't need to see that. And now I'm watching it and I'm like, this is so my kind of movie. It's just
right,
like
exactly.
a great
or like
rom-com.
Love Jones, or How Stella Got Her Groove Back. And these are movies that just don't, that for some reason they got pegged as black movies, but these are great, you know, rom-coms that,
if you like that
if
genre,
you're not
which
black,
I
you
love.
probably have never seen them, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. And so I hear what you're saying about the marketing and how it can really affect you.
Like for waiting to exhale, like even going back to then, it was marketed like not just as a rom-com or a black movie. It was sort of marketed as something that was like more deeply emotional, like the actual dramatic context or whatever was going on in the movie was seen as something that would like make you cry more than like make you feel whatever other way, you know? And like that's a super specific
Definitely
thing as well.
Make you exhale.
Obviously.
I'm just watching it and it's like this is a genre of movies that I love. I can't believe I'm just watching it, you know?
Well, I had to go to the hospital when I tried to see it because I was under the impression that I was not able to breathe during the movie.
That would ruin
mandated
everything.
by the studio.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is all my way of offering a mea culpa of when I finally saw this movie. It was I was driving to Kansas City, and I had just gotten to Kansas City, and the Super Bowl was on, and it was at halftime. It was the Patriots Eagles, when the Eagles beat the Patriots in 2018. And I was like, oh, you know, I should go out and watch the second half somewhere. And the only bar I could find nearby, went in, and they had the game on, and I sat down, and then I realized it was a gay bar, which was not a big deal. And it was actually a gay bar that was mostly lesbians. And watched the end of the Super Bowl. It was great. Everyone there was awesome, and I had a great time, and it was a blast. And then Magic Mike popped on like whatever somebody put it on one of the cable stations, and they had the volume up on the TV, and then everyone in the bar just sat there and watched the entirety of Magic Mike.
You're kidding
like,
me.
I swear to God, I think nobody intended to, but everyone just sort of got sucked into it. And anytime somebody would like go, hey, can you turn the jukebox on? Everyone would go, no, we're watching this movie.
Wait, that's actually amazing. That's such a good, if you're a filmmaker and you can get a room full of people at a bar to not talk and be dead
In
silent.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Wow, that's an endorsement.
And it was definitely that kind of thing. And that's the first time I saw it. And I was like, I should have known this was going to be a movie that I would enjoy. I probably should have seen this 6 years ago when it came out, but better late than never.
It makes sense. I have a question, you guys. Did Matthew McConaughey's All Right come from this movie, or was it from Dazed and Confused and he did it again?
Dazed and Confused.
So he did it again in this
like
movie?
from the 70s, yeah.
He did it twice?
And then I like the cut where Channing Tatum
does it,
says
making
it.
fun of him, doing an impression.
It's like a
of him at
pre-lap.
one
You
point.
think it's McConaughey, and then they cut, and it's Channing Tatum saying
Let me say something about Matthew McConaughey. I think he's a great actor. I think he's good at drama and comedy. I think he's got total chops. There were moments in this movie when I was like, is this a horrific performance? Or is this a great performance? There was a.
How dare you?
I think there was I think ultimately it was a good performance, but there were moments where I was like, am I not high enough for this? What is this? Like, ultimately I think it was good, but there was just a moment where I was like, this is a real interesting thing happening here.
Apparently,
There's a lot of in
Look
jokes.
here, lady. That man down there in Texas is a national fucking treasure. All right.
Apparently, one of the things Soderbergh said to him was like, "This character is the kind of guy who believes in like tarot card reading and stuff like that,
So Matthew
horoscopes and
McConaughey,
stuff like."
basically.
Yeah, it's a Matthew. Yeah, it was like here's your character, and then Matthew
This
McConaughey.
is a guy
kinda
who
ran
never
with
takes
that.
a shirt or never keeps a shirt on.
Never puts a shirt on. He plays bongo drums all the time. Matthew
mean,
McConaughey's
it's
like,
Matthew
I've
McConaughey.
got it. I know.
Well,
He's
the
like, I'm
bongo
gonna have to do a
drums and the
lot
all
of
right,
thinking.
all right. Yeah, they're like very meta jokes about him. Didn't he get arrested for
He
playing
got
the bongo
arrested
drums or
for
something?
He did.
for-
Bongo's
for-
naked in
yeah,
Austin.
bongoing
Yeah.
naked,
Way back.
yeah.
That was in the 90s.
Maybe this is just him being, it's like him stripped to his essence, and I just have to like take it in. I thought he did great. I'm just like, there was just a couple moments.
It was too
where
raw for you.
I'm just really superficial and I couldn't handle the depth. But
Well, I think what was great about it was how they flip him at the end and turn him like, because you always get the skeevy vibe from him of this guy who's, he's basically sort of
like a pimp.
He's pimping out all these other guys, kind of exploiting them in a way, not in a, but you definitely get that vibe. And then at the end, it sort of is made clear when they have that confrontation scene. It's like, this guy is definitely not the peace, love, and prosperity that he
that's right.
preaches.
I also think that after he does his actual performance of his dance,
Which he did really well.
When he comes back, they make it very clear that the character has for a long time been chasing the glory days, and he is jealous of Channing Tatum's character, and he is kind of what's another word for someone who like chases the glory days like that, and they kind of
Looking back, kind of.
like, I don't know.
He is the 40-year-old stripper that Channing Tatum is afraid to.
And like
That's
probably
right.
very grateful that he's in management and not actually having to be out there stripping, but still kind of misses the adulation and the attention and stuff like that.
But that's why it's so bad that he's muscling all of them out of being on that level.
In the original script, he did not have a stripping scene. He was strictly a retired stripper that was in management.
Wow.
And he said there was no way I could make a stripper movie and not get out there and actually try it. And so he insisted
That
on
was
them
a great
writing in-
performance.
yeah, it really was. And apparently the women, the extras got so wild, they actually ripped his G-string off and he had to run off like with his balls
You can
in his
see it.
hands.
You can see
you
it
can actually
happen,
see
yeah.
it. Him running off with his balls in
That's
his hands because
awesome.
they actually ripped his pants off.
Wow, that's a good trivia. Did you guys think? Okay,
I just thought of a really bad.
tell us now. We
Oh,
must
God.
know.
Oh, after they ripped his G-string off, they found out like which way it turns, and you know what it did? It went all right, all right, all right.
Oh yes, that was worth every.
Okay.
Was it?
Okay.
I thought that was really dumb when I thought of it.
I love
No,
that.
yeah,
They're
it
gonna-
remains
they're not gonna like this.
dumb but kind of funny.
Two things. Did you guys buy when they go to Matthew McConaughey's house? It looks like a sick pad. Like we're at a rich person's house.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
almost like he was like really rolling in it. And I don't know anything about business. Does that seem real to like owning a strip club in Tampa?
It's those mortgages from the financial crash. Like, you know, just sell him a mortgage and let him buy whatever.
Because it's like, oh, he's rich. He's like a rich guy.
Well, I mean, this is a guy
I don't
who owns a strip club in Tampa that seems to be packed whenever it's
That's
open.
true. That's right.
And he owns the club.
And he's already said that he's going to Miami. He's got
Right.
the
So he's
4,000 square foot.
he's got enough
or
money to
whatever
open a
place.
new club in Miami, which has to be pricey. Plus, this is a mansion in Tampa, which honestly,
It's like
I can barely
$35.
afford an apartment in Koreatown, but there are places in this country where you can get a mansion for pretty cheap if
No,
you're
it's
willing to
totally
live in that
true.
place. You know,
That's so true.
Well, I thought it was weirder that Channing's house was so nice.
That's so
'cause, like,
true.
he's still
But he
like,
builds his own furniture.
well, we get to know what his life savings is of like $13,000 or whatever, and we also know that like he's trying to build furniture. He's trying to do these other things. Can't get a loan, but like how did he get the house loan? And or like what is the value of his home? Can
Well,
borrow
was he in a
against
house
that,
or
you
was
know?
he just in like a big loft apartment?
It was kind of a gorgeous apartment. You're totally right,
It was
Colin.
it was on the beach. It was like multiple stories. I'm pretty sure it was a full house. Like
No, it was like a sick pad. It was really nice.
yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. That was,
It was
like
but
a
I don't
really...
think he owns. I think he's renting that. So
He's
I mean,
renting?
yeah.
Okay.
But you're
But
kind of
I
right.
feel
It
like-
did seem pretty
yeah.
nice for somebody who's like begging for like $20 an hour at his construction job, you know?
Negotiating, not begging. Negotiating.
Oh, sorry, negotiating.
So I guess what we're supposed to believe is that like he's just renting this place and he's doing it like maybe cash only because his main income is all like cash, and so he just found some kind of like under the table deal with someone or something.
But we've
like
also
that.
seen
Yeah.
that he's a hustler. So, like he's not taking the plastic off of his car so he can, resell it at a high value. And, so he's always got this,
Right.
like, he's a frugal dude. He's not
Oh, that's a
wasting
good
any
prop.
money on bullshit,
But it seems like if
That's
he
a
has,
really
like,
good
all he-
character thing, yeah.
if what he
Yeah,
has
it
in his
was.
safe is 10 grand, like it seems like he'd be paying like thousands of dollars to rent that place,
Yeah, I agree. I also think it's because like we're in LA and I'm like in LA that would be a
Yeah.
$4,000 a month place. Like
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I also
like,
kind of
maybe.
thought yeah, exactly. What did you guys think? And this is where I think the movie is indie and not like a typical Hollywood blockbuster, everything is happy. Because in the end, it is pretty sad. Like he gave up all that money he'd been saving, and maybe he gets.
And you
the
know you're not
girl.
going to get it. You're not going to get it back either.
Yeah, he
Well,
even
like-
plays it that way. He's like, yeah, sure. You'll pay me back, right?
It's kind of
Well, like-
amazing in a weird way that he loves that kid so much and is so like, it's okay, take my entire life savings. Considering, I mean,
Yeah, well, it's, like, doesn't want the kid to get murdered or whatever. But yeah, it is a big sacrifice. I mean, I think that's just goes to the whole thing where he's like a stand-up guy. But
That's
at
right.
the same time, it's, he can't keep doing this, Like, I think that's the big thing. It's like the growth of his character is realizing that there's a dead end at the end of this road. And he's found something better, which is, I don't think it's just about the girl, but I think the girl is sort of, symbolic of him turning over a new
Totally.
leaf. If he can win her over and convince her that he can be something other than Magic Mike, then maybe he can actually believe it himself, which is kind of what she, asks him.
In a way, it's like a clean slate. Like him getting rid of all that money is like, you know,
Right.
he has that conversation with her at the end. He's like, I guess I need a new plan. It's like that money was from this old way of life, and now he's got to make money like a new way and a fresh way, like not that dirty dancing.
I think you're right.
Dirty dancing money.
Well, I was telling them, I don't know if this is like actually funny or just deeply depressing, but I'm pretty sure, even if you were a really sexy dancer and really good looking, if you went over to a woman's house and you were like, I just lost my entire life savings because I gave it to drug lords, and also I quit my entire source of income, and I have no idea what I'm doing, she might not want you to stay the night. Might even not treat you that good.
She might be like,
but
so
maybe that's just,
what are you
maybe
doing
that's just
for
like-
work now? Like,
yeah.
So what do you have on the table?
Yeah, he stays over, but then the next morning she's already like, "So you going out to look for jobs today or what?"
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have
I'm
a
not
car. Can you
Just-
drive me, actually?
Yeah.
Look, I'm not trying to take what's known as the Good Charlotte position, in which you claim that girls don't like boys, they just like cars and money. But I do think he was in a bit of a crisis, and I'm not sure that moment was actually that sexy. I don't know.
But I feel like she's the type, like, we've been building up her character in the entire movie to be like the type who would be like, you know,
You
I
did
just
the
want
right
to get to the
thing.
real person. Yeah, you did the right thing, and you know, and that's more important than your job or your whatever.
And she clearly loves her brother. And now that we're talking about it, because I was like, wow, he really casually gives this guy his life savings without ever getting it back. And now, as we're talking about it, this is the rom part of it. The rom-com part
Yeah.
of it is like,
Yeah.
it's not just for
Yes.
her brother. It's for this woman that he loves who would be devastated
Right.
if her brother was murdered.
Yeah,
or
he
beat
almost
the fuck
says that.
up so it's like for her.
But also, would he have done that if those goons hadn't come to his house?
That's true. I think the negotiation would have been a lot more prolonged if they weren't already there breaking shit and threatening
You know,
to beat him
the
up.
importance of the goons is very overlooked.
Yeah, those
Yeah, that
goons
was
were
a good
huge.
Well,
scene.
prior to that, he didn't know how much money it was. He thought it was
Yeah.
only $1,000.
Yeah.
That's true.
That brother sucked, man.
Oh, he was the
He's
worst.
terrible.
He was the worst.
Stupid piece of shit.
So a lot of these stories were taken directly from, you know, so the screenwriter of this movie, whose name I forget, and
It's like Reed Carolyn.
That's right, Reed Carolyn. Very good. So he is Channing Tatum's production partner for their production company. They have a production company together, and they were developing the script for a while because Channing Tatum, apparently when he was 18 years old, basically was the kid character in his own Magic Mike version of this, where he was a male stripper.
Interesting.
Yes, for like a year he was a male stripper, and was apparently very good at it, and then started doing male modeling and so. But he was also working construction and doing all these little things in the South, I think in Florida. And so he always wanted to put this in a screenplay. So he would tell his buddy Reed these stories, and they would sort of try to shape them into some kind of a script. And he originally wanted the guy who directed Drive to make this, and he was trying to get it off the ground with him.
Wow.
Interesting.
But that guy was booked on some other movie, and then he did Haywire.
The Neon Demon?
No, I think it was Only God Forgives or something
Forgives,
like that. And then he was shooting Haywire with Soderbergh and Gina Carano, and sort of told Soderbergh about his days of dancing, and Soderbergh was like, "Oh, that'd make a great movie." He was like, "I'm all over it. I'm already writing the script." And Soderbergh was like, "Let's fucking do it." And he was like, "Okay." And so that was
Wait, it involves actors and a camera? I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't do top four. Should we skip top four?
No, let's just do top four and then do
Yeah,
our
let's do
wrap-up.
top four.
It's gonna be hard. I don't actually know what one of these is.
Really?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And this is
That's awesome.
McConaughey you're doing?
Yeah,
we're doing
Okay,
McConaughey.
fantastic. All right. So are we ready?
right. Yep. Who's
All
going
right,
first?
the guest goes
let's
first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dazed and Confused, Magic
Just
Mike.
No, just
Oh, no, 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 no.
Just
pick
one guess per
Oh, I'm
time.
Just
sorry.
guess one
Then
movie.
it
We're
would
gonna
be
take
in the
turns.
top four?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Dazed and Confused.
You are incorrect. You are wrong.
Wrong.
Ooh. Wow. All right, I'll go next.
Good guess, though.
I'm going to say A Time to Kill.
You're wrong.
Wrong.
I am going to go with Interstellar.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Holy shit.
It's super hard.
Made
All
in
right, back to you.
Manhattan?
Back to you.
I wish I was
good one.
playing. Made in Manhattan. That is wrong.
Wrong.
I appreciate it.
I've never
I don't
seen
think
it, but
he's
J-Lo's
actually
in
in
it.
that.
Is he
I'm
not?
pretty
it's-
sure Made in Manhattan
it's-
is Ray Fiennes.
It's
pretty
not
good.
Matthew
Yeah, it's-
McConaughey.
You're thinking of
But
Failure
good
to
guess
Launch.
anyways.
Oh, yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
That
Also,
movie's lit.
probably not a good choice.
Wait, that was going to be my guess. Failure to Launch. Is
no
that
way.
wrong?
Really? That's terrible. guess.
Wrong.
Bad guess.
I'm going to go Dallas Buyers Club.
You are correct.
All right, all right, all right.
Dallas Buyers Club, directed by Ron Woodruff. I guess.
All right, we're in the second round. So I thought that was Jean-Marc Valley. Anyways, we're in the second round, so I think this is a hint round. Although I don't think I need it because I got two more great guesses.
Okay. All right. How about here's the hint. Two of these movies are from 2012.
I can't think of a single other movie Matthew McConaughey was out in. Sorry, I'm a huge
Are you sure?
disappointment.
Are you sure you can't think of one? Maybe if you think about what we're doing here.
Podcasting?
About something. We're talking
Magic
about
Mike!
something.
All right, all right, all right.
Thank you very much, Colin. That was a huge assist. You were the...
Magic Mike from 2012, when his character was Dallas. Okay, the character name is the thing that's underneath the. Sorry, so Ron Woodruff was his character.
There you go. Matt,
Just to issue that correction. Sorry about that.
you got a guess, Matt?
Yeah, is Lincoln Lawyer the same year?
Wrong.
This is a good guess, though. I'm going to go with Wolf of Wall Street.
No.
Wrong.
I like that
That's a good
movie.
one.
Your next hint is the word dirt.
Oh, Mud. Which
All right,
Mud
all
is
right, all
correct.
right.
I've never seen. That was a really good hint,
Rose.
Colin.
Yeah, Rose is dominating now.
With your help.
Yeah.
What do we have left? One more?
Yeah, one more, and my hint is that it's from 2011, and it's like one of the few Matthew McConaughey movies I haven't seen, and I have no idea what it's about.
That's a terrible hint, Colin. Terrible hint.
It's a hard guess thing.
Uh,
All right, let me see if I can. The director is William Friedkin.
Oh. What was he in with William Friedkin? Oh, I know.
is it Bug?
No.
That is incorrect.
It's
Wrong.
Killer Joe.
All right, all right,
Killer
all
Joe is
right.
correct. When a debt puts a young man's life in danger,
Yeah,
he turns
William
to putting a
Friedkin.
hit
I
out
think that
on
was
his
one of
evil
William
mother in
Friedkin's
order
last
to
movies.
collect the insurance.
All right.
I've never
did it.
I've never heard of that. It looks like the cover art is a chicken nugget in the shape of the state of Texas. It's a little confusing.
It's possible. Oh, okay. Do we have
All
any
right.
I don't know
final
why that's on
thoughts
the top
before we
4.
rate this bad boy?
I just wanted to quickly I wanted to break the statistic and say that I saw this movie on opening night with Alex Parslow, future guest of this show.
Hell yeah.
Amidst crowds of women hooting and hollering. It was really a treat.
Wait, were
for
we
both
already
of us.
out in LA at that time?
We were, yeah. We had
Wow.
just finished our first semester.
Oh, wow. That's
It was a great summer.
remarkable.
Woo! I love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shout out to
okay,
Alex
so-
Parslow. I know him too.
So now we're gonna each go around and give our rating from 1 to 10 on a scale of Timothy Dolphins, which I explained in the email I sent to you. I'm not sure if you read the breakdown of that. Okay, it's a whole thing.
But
This
it's
used
just
to
a
be
1 to
James
10
Bond
scale.
podcast.
Okay, 1 to 10, I got it. It's cool.
1 to 10.
Yeah,
Timothy
great. I
Dolphins,
get it.
great. Harris, why don't you go first?
I'll go first. Okay. So, yeah, I don't really know how much to say about this movie, although it was a weird one to choose for our podcast. Yeah, for all that I thought about what this was based on the advertising and everything, it actually is one of the more Soderbergh-y movies that's out there. It's very like experimental in its editing and its cinematography. He was definitely taking some big swings, but also kind of weird in the way it's structured and its plot. And it's very engaging. But it also functions as kind of like a musical. We barely even talked about the dance numbers, which were a big part of this. There was all these dance number breakouts that were kind of fascinating and really well choreographed. And obviously Channing Tatum was the only experienced dancer. All the other guys, were kind of picking it up and trying to learn it as they went. But they leaned heavily on Tatum, and he is a hell of an athlete. I think his dance scenes in general are kind of amazing to like, aside from like whatever the sexuality aspect of it or anything, they're just impressively choreographed and performed. And if you think of it as kind of like, we're trying to say what genre this is. If you think of it as like an indie drama / musical, it's kind of in a class of its own in that way. I think it's there's some great central performances. McConaughey steals the show, and Channing Tatum's great, and I think all the actors are very good. And I don't know, I really enjoy it. It's not one of Soderbergh's top 5 for me, but it's pretty close. So I have to give it 8 Timothy Dolphins.
All right, 8. That's high praise. That's pretty solid. All right, Rose, if you want to take a crack at this, you can give your little summation
It's
next.
interesting. it's like the idea of rating is so tricky because it's like if a 10 is like All About Eve or Harold and Maude or like my favorite movies of all time, it won't score very well. But for what it is, it's very, very good. So I feel conflicted about the scoring because I think for like a fun romp, it's a good time with some fun performances, it really delivers. But as far as being like, if a 10 is like my favorite movies of all time, then I have to give it a 6 because it's just not like a meaningful thing that I keep in my heart. But a 6 sounds bad. I'm just comparing it to like the best movies of all time. So I think if I was looking for a really fun movie that I just needed to have fun with, which I think is really important, and I love content like that, then it's a 10 for that. But if it's about like cinema, then it's a 6.
I think you should average it then.
I can't add.
It's also, this is all kind of arbitrary and stupid. So, just
I know,
do
I'm
whatever
just
your heart
giving my
tells you.
full thought to it. I'm giving you my full thought.
Honestly, the only thing that really upsets, not even me, it upsets them. The only thing that upsets them is when you do like in between points, like if you do like half. Points
Yeah, just don't give it a half point, and you're
here's the
you're
thing.
totally acceptable.
I think for a fun movie where I don't have to think too hard and I want to have a blast, it's a 10 for that.
Okay. I actually
but we're
like
locking
it when
this
the-
in.
Okay.
We're locking this in as a 6. Is that right?
It's a 6.
I think that's more
All right,
appropriate.
that's great.
Even I, who gave it an 8, think it's
I actually like it when the guest uses a half point because it bothers them. Matt's like, all right, we don't do that on this show. And the guest is like, what? I thought you said I could do whatever I wanted. And then,
We draw the line.
You're never welcome
here.
back.
yeah. Should I go next or
Yeah,
Matt,
sure.
are you feeling that?
No, you can
passion?
go.
You want
You
to
can go.
Okay. All right.
Let's move this along.
I liked it. I'm also going to give it an 8 because why not? One thing, Matthew McConaughey is good in everything. He's a Texas national treasure, and he's great.
Texas isn't a nation, Colin.
You try to tell them that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay. Yeah. Olivia Munn is in this, and I just really like her. I'm gonna probably give the movie points just on her. I mean, not only is she just in this, which would have given the movie points for me, she's also good in this, which should give the movie points from anyone. What else can I say? I guess if Channing Tatum is listening, Chan Man, right on, brother, way to go there. And Soderbergh, he's great. He's just really
Unless
good
he's
at-
directing the Oscars.
Yeah, that was bad. I'm sorry. Yo, Stevie Sod. That sounds bad. Stevie Sod
Stevie
sounds like a
Sod.
guy who sells sod.
That's
Come
what
on
he
out to
was.
Stevie Sods.
That was his job before he broke in. Like Magic Mike was in construction and stripping. He was a sod man until he broke into filmmaking.
Who's your sod guy?
Sod, get your sod here.
I tell
Just
you
go
what, Phil.
door to door.
I tell you what, Phil. I sell one more acre. I'm gonna be making my pictures. I don't know why he talks like that. I'm sorry. I'm way.
So- so what was your
8
final
Timothy
score?
Dolphins. 8 Timothy Dolphins. It's like Harris is Channing Tatum and I'm the kid and I want to just be like him, so I'm picking 8.
All right, let's see. I mean, Rose, I think I'm right there with you with your interpretation of this movie. I feel like for what it is, it does it well. It's good. There's nothing inherently wrong with this movie. There's nothing bad or cringeworthy. I thought all the performances were good. I liked the look of it. The dancing was cool. The music was good. Everything kind of worked for me. I think my only beef would be that I feel like it does meander a bit, and just when it was starting to get going, I feel like it ends, and I wanted more. Yeah.
Well, you're going to get more, buddy. They made a whole other movie for you.
Yeah. Which is so funny to watch it now. I understand that this movie was a sensation when it came out, but to watch it now, it's just it's a pretty standard movie.
Totally.
There's nothing really that great about it. And to me, it doesn't feel like it warrants a sequel. I don't really need to see the ongoing struggles of Magic Mike.
The Beefcake demanded a sequel.
Yeah, but I guess I will. So yeah, my score is kind of right there with you, and I feel like that this was good, but it's not an all-time classic, and it doesn't really like belong in the 7, 8, 9, 10s of the world. So I feel like I'm giving this 6 Timothy Dolphins as well.
Which means it averages out to a solid 7 Timothy Dolphins, which seems really appropriate for this movie.
It's
for some
perfect.
reason.
Yes.
We killed the scoring.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, we nailed
I
it.
almost gave it a
Excellent.
7, but Olivia Munn took it to the next level.
You
You
saw
got an
Olivia
Olivia Munn
Munn's
point.
boobs. It
Yeah.
had to at least
Yeah,
be an
exactly.
8.
That was
Which
it
I
was a
read
half a
the
point
trivia-
per boob.
The trivia said that she like hands down does not do nudity like ever, but for some reason she felt compelled to do it in this movie. She like, thought that the scene really like needed to have her be naked because she's coming out of the shower.
Well, I think she said that
which is
because it
believable.
wasn't sexualized and it just seemed like kind of a natural, like she was just naked like you would be naked, not like in a weird pervy way.
Right.
I drive around the city a lot, and she's got a ton of those billboards where she has her dogs, and she's like, "My shelter pets are my best friends." There's no end to that story.
Are shelter pets a euphemism for her boobs? What are we talking about?
Sorry, sometimes my anecdotes are missing like
The connective
Point?
tissue?
Meaning.
yeah. Yes.
Oh,
They're just
right.
thoughts in your head.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes they're not
All right.
anecdotes so much as just random ideas. Sometimes
All
they're
right,
not
Rose.
even that.
Thank you so much for being our guest on this this lovely podcast for this lovely movie. Do you have anything that you want to plug? Something you're working on, or something that's going to be coming out soon? Or
Yeah, I would just plug the podcast. You guys are so fun and funny, and if you like listening to stuff like this, I think you would enjoy Couldn't Help But Wonder. You can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts, and our Instagram is at CHBW Pod. So yeah, if that's all I
Great.
would say.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, we hope we can have you back again one day.
Super fun.
when
Great
you're-
choice of movie. Fun conversation. 10 Timothy Dolans on, or whatever it is, dolphins. 10 Timothy, 10 Jiminy Crickets for the conversation.
Great.
What did you say it was? CH?
Oh,
CHB?
couldn't
CHP?
help but wonder. CHBW.
It's an acronym.
Yeah, sorry, it's like a horrible name for Instagram.
Oh, I got it. I found it. Okay, our account is following you now.
Okay, great. We'll
Or will
follow
be.
you back.
Yeah, it is now.
Oh, I was about to do a
Okay,
hip roll.
cool.
Boom.
All right.
Boom,
Thanks.
Boom. 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 We didn't even talk about Genuine and Pony. I could have done 10 minutes on just Pony alone.
This is
There
like
we
one of
go.
my favorite songs when I was like in this.
Can you guys all hear it?
It's great.
Oh yeah.
Genuine's amazing. Yeah, that
Jump
was a
on
great
it.
song.
I'm just
Okay,
a bachelor, baby.
I have to go. I'm tired of my back hurts.
That's a good way to close out.